it was either one of the two, either a boomerang shape with a round front, or it was a complete saucer. It was something that I didn't expect to participate in, but was asked to go, and decided to do so, and we can talk about that as a separate subject.
Well, let's jump right into it. I mean, was this sort of a field trip? Hey, let's leave the conference, let's go out and see if we can rustle up a UFO, get lucky?
Well, the conference was over, and during the conference, there was a gentleman by the name of Yalçın, who's become quite famous as a photographer for the phenomena. And he would get feelings that there would be UFOs outside, run outside, and a few people would go out and look, and sure enough, they'd be passing over. He said, why don't we go down the European coast? Now, I don't know, most people know or not, but Turkey sits on two continents. So on the European side, and it's totally surrounded by water. There's water, or oceans everywhere, and bays and so on. So there was a small town on the European coast called Kumburgaz, and they obtained like a motel there that was right on the beach. And so they decided to stay up from 12 midnight to 4 o'clock in the morning and film out over the sea. So I'm kind of a night owl anyway. So I figured, well, what the heck? I'll go with a few other people, and we'll see if we see anything. Not that I expected to see anything. The weather was good. There was no clouds in the sky. The cameras were being set up. One year, Jaime Maussan was there with his crew. We had a double camera crew. We surveyed the water for as far as we could see the night of the filming that we actually became so famous. And we looked up in the sky. There was a big full moon. There was no oil rigs in the water. There was no ships passing by. There was nothing to reflect light. And so as a test, the camera was focused on the moon with about no zoom, and it had capability. It had a 300-millimeter lens, as I recall, and an electronic doubler, which can take you to 600 millimeters, which is pretty close. So we were looking at the moon, and we noticed below the moon there was a little bright object, which we thought could have been an ordinary planet or a star coming up. So we started to focus on that, and even with the camera on sticks, which means on a tripod, there was quite a breeze blowing, so we got a little bit of motion to the camera. But then we began to see this projection of a multitude of lights, and the lights were in a semicircle. And as we pushed on the object and got tighter and tighter on it, we could begin to see the shape. Now, the interesting thing here was that the craft itself was being backlit by the very bright moon. I mean, you think, well, gee, bright sky, bright moon, you're not going to see anything. But in this case, the moon was a big help. So it essentially lit up the exterior portion of the craft, which initially, when we saw it, looked a bit like a boomerang, because we weren't seeing it straight on. So we couldn't tell the exact shape of the craft. But then we went to full zoom on it, and we could see that it was either a boomerang or we were looking at a certain portion of a cylindrical craft, a saucer. Till this day, I don't know, and I don't know what the analysts have said about the shape. But it was either one of the two, either a boomerang shape with a round front, or it was a complete saucer. It did turn a couple of times, so we were able to see the side, and it looked like it could have been saucer-shaped. But then we got the biggest shock of our lives, because we could see light that was emanating from the internal portion of the craft in three areas. One was directly in front, and one was on either side. And this was a full-on front view, and folks can look at the Coast website, and they can not only see the video, but please go to the Chilean analysis, because there are some still photos there which show what we saw when we looked in the central portion. That was, a big shock to look and see, not a Rorschach type thing, but actual entities that were, whatever they were doing, looking out the front of the craft is just the same as we were looking at them.